Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It is Saturday night. I am here. I'm chilling. I thought you could all join me for some dinner. I'm your friendly neighborhood Prax. Welcome to the channel. You will also hear in the background Bella because she wants everyone to know that she exists. And so yeah, she's sitting here next to me. You will hear from her on occasion. That is what we will do. We will just hear from her on occasion. That's it. Don't know why that went away. There we go. Now I can see it. So, tonight we're going to do a couple different fun things because I was like, I need to clean out the fridge and I am home by myself, which is me and the dog. So what do I want to make for dinner? Yes, Bella, the internet can hear you. Would you like the internet to be able to see you? Look, internet. There is a Bella. She resides there and rules the world. We can even give you a close-up of the Bella. See, she's in focus and special. Yes, she judges you, everybody. It's okay. She judges everyone. But I was like, okay, let's play with some things that we need to do. This is not a traditional bouillabaisse. Straight up, telling you right now, not a traditional bouillabaisse. I can't eat traditional bouillabaisse. It's got a lot of shellfish in it, and I have a shellfish allergy, and I don't like to make myself sick and or go to the emergency room. Funny thing about that, right? Why, So instead, this is a chicken and sausage bouillabaisse from Jacques Pepin. You may have heard me speak about Jacques Pepin before. He is one of my all-time favorite chefs of all time. Wow, I said that twice. But he, very famous French chef, one of my favorite chefs to watch and follow and learn from. Really, really, really learn from Jacques Pepin. The man is a genius on so many different levels. But first, we're going to get started with actually potatoes. See, these are potatoes. These are big old russet baking potatoes. Simple, wonderful friends. And one of the things I like to do during the weekends, particularly now that it's colder weather, and here in New England, we've had a storm all weekend that's just been gray and cold and rainy and windy, and you're like, I don't want to do anything. So one of my favorite things to make are twice baked potatoes. They're very, very simple. They're just long. So we're going to start with the potatoes because we have cleaned and washed and then dried our russet baking potatoes. Drying is important because what we're going to do next is take these potatoes and put them directly in to a 450-degree oven, right on the rack. And they're going to sit there for 50 minutes or so. And that will be step one of your twice baked potatoes. Twice baked potatoes, as the name implies, get baked twice. But step one is this. Easy step one. Oh wait, I forgot my bowls. I will need bowls to keep my life organized. So, on to our bouillabaisse. And as I said, this is not a traditional bouillabaisse. This is Jacques Pepin's chicken and sausage bouillabaisse. But we are going to start with prepping ingredients because that is always important and that is always the first step in everything. So I have celery, 2 stalks of celery. I cleaned it really, really well, even though I'm going to just cut off the ends and Following Jacques Lepin's instructions, I'm going to save the ends because I'm going to use them as a soup later on. You know, when I make broth, or, you know, have a roast chicken or beef bones or anything like that, I'll use them. I like to split the rib on the celery before I cut it. There are some people that do, there are some people that don't. It's personal preference. Mine, do it this way. And then just rough chop those nice celery pieces. I like to leave them a little bit bigger so that A, you can see them, and B, they provide a nice texture contrast for the rest of what's going on in this bouillabaisse. Celery is one of those, people don't think it has flavor. It has a lot of flavor. It imparts a really good flavor to a lot of dishes. It's why it's one of the most important things in French cooking. Celery's, onions, and carrot, or peppers, onions, and carrots, or celery's, onions, and carrots, depending on if you're in Cajun or French country. All right, so we have our celery, chopped, easy, going to sit on the side. This is one of those recipes where as things get going, they get going very quickly, so it's to your advantage to prep and chop everything and then just have it sitting by the side so that you can dump and go. Now we've got potatoes, and you will notice that these potatoes are, you know, have a little bit of the beginning of an eye. Doesn't matter. Peel it off. That's why it's not going to harm you. These are Yukon Gold. I like to use Yukon Gold in either soups or stews, or when I'm doing like a pot roast or something, because they cook more evenly and you don't have to worry about peeling them. And you can just dump them in the pot and everything will be happy with it. Right? You know, not a complicated thing. And if your potatoes are a little wrinkly, they're still good. This is a recipe that is about using things over and minimizing food waste. And I really appreciate that on the weekend when you're just like, I don't want to. I don't want to do anything. I just want to throw things in the pot and eat later. So I'm going to rough chop the potatoes to roughly all the same size. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is one of those, you're just cutting them up so that makes it easier to cook as it goes. And if things are closer to the same size, then they cook evenly. But, you know, you want to make them smaller or make them bite-sized, go right ahead. If you got a bigger potato and you're like, I think this needs to be a little bit smaller than the others. Like this one. Okay. We chop, we cut. But again, wash all of your produce twice. So, except for potatoes. Only wash your potatoes once. When I say wash it twice, I mean when you get your produce home from the store, take 5 seconds and wash it then. And then wash it like 30, you know, run it under water and rinse it when you go to cook it. Don't do that with potatoes. Just leave the potatoes outside, preferably somewhere in a cool, dry place without sunlight, in a paper bag, and not next to onions. Don't put your onions and your potatoes next to each other. That is the way of spoilage on your onions. Because both of them outgas different things, and in that way, can cause problems. You're like, why do I have no onions? Oh, because I put them next to the potatoes and now they're all me. Now I decided there was no point in me saving like 2 potatoes, so I'm just gonna have a lot of potatoes in this bouillabaisse. You don't need them to have, if you don't like a lot of potato, don't have a lot of potato. If you have a whole eye that's a little like this, just chop it off. It's fine. It's not gonna harm anybody. And this is a really good recipe to just showcase good ingredients while also cleaning out your kitchen and your leftovers and learning about important things. All right, next up. Now here's the one important rule. Again, I'm going to take these over and put them aside so that I can save them. But here's one important rule. Cut all of the vegetables before you start cutting any meats. That is the rule. Vegetables before meats, and then you can reuse the cutting board. But if you cut meat before your vegetables, you have to clean them. All right, so this is a recipe that is, again, very simple, very basic, very good. But along with simple, basic, and good, it builds flavor, and that's what we always talk about, is building flavor from the ingredients themselves. And in this case, what we're building, the majority of the seasoning, I know this is going to shock people, the majority of the seasoning is not going to come from seasonings, but from the ingredients themselves. Oh, yeah, we're going to use Italian and Mediterranean cooking styles where spices are used, but we also remember that other flavors exist. But in this case, all of the heat we're going to get in this bouillabaisse is actually going to come from the sausage. We might add a little bit just because we like it, but we're starting with a good spicy Italian sausage that I'm just cutting up into medallions. You know, the size of your finger or so. And when we brown this off, the heat and flavor and peppers and garlic and cumin and fennel and everything else that's in the sausage will be imparted into our bouillabaisse. So this is a great recipe for people who are like, I don't have all these spices in my thing, and I don't want to buy them all because I'll make this recipe once, maybe twice at a time, and then I'll have all these spices that have gone bad, and because they're living in their cabinet for a year and a half, 2 years, and all right. Spicy sausage. Pause for cleanup, because you clean yourself after the pork, so you don't spread raw meat juice stuff around your kitchen. Also, why you use a plastic cutting board rather than a wooden one, so it can go in the dishwasher and get sanitized, and you're like, easy. Oh, that's not good. Okay. Well, these were all getting fixed eggs. All right. Sorry about that, y'all. Technical difficulty in the form of dishwasher issues, but I fixed it. So, how are we doing tonight? How is life going for everybody out there in the interwebs and in the outside world, as it says? What are people doing tonight aside from hanging out with me? Thank you very much. Well, I cooked dinner. So, sausage, celery, potatoes, and the last ingredient is the chicken. Now, you. Hello, Lopez. Welcome in. Yes, we're making a Jacques Pepin's chicken and sausage bouillabaisse rather than a fish bouillabaisse because I can't eat that. Now, ideally with this recipe, you would have like chicken breasts or thigh. Or really, this recipe is designed for like chicken breasts or thighs, or even like a whole chicken that you've quartered. But I went downstairs to my freezer and realized, y'all, I didn't have any, and I was like, nah, I'm not going outside today because that weather is nasty. So instead, what I had is I had a package of that pre-diced chicken. Now, I have found this particular brand that makes these diced chicken packages, and they've been very, very useful for when I'm going to do things like Chinese or something. And they're already cut up. It makes my weeknight easier. It's not like I'm, you know, skipping anything, making things complicated or anything. I'm just being like, you know, my time is worth it. I have it. And so rather than, again, this is a day about cleaning out the freezer, using what we got on hand, making sure that, because that's what a good French stew like bouillabaisse really is. It's using things up. It was supposed to be a bad here, but lovely, but it was lovely. Nothing wrong with the cheese predicted. I mean, that's fair. I will say, however, that garlic exists in my life and it exists in everything going on. Now, if you were watching Troopers, what was he playing? It was one of his, I think it was a Saturday stream. I was pretty sure it was a Saturday stream. Yeah, it was, Trooper was playing, what is he playing on Sundays? Saturdays. Outer Worlds. And he was talking about garlic and this way in which garlic is stigmatized. And it is. So there's this discussion that not real Italian food doesn't use a lot of garlic, that Italian Americans use too much garlic. And that only works if you're assuming that all Italian food is Northern Italian. Remembering, of course, that Northern Italian is everything north of Rome, like majority of the population. Then there's Southern Italians and Sicilians, particularly, who use more garlic and spices than in Northern Italy. And a large percentage of the people who moved to the United States in the 19th and early 20th centuries and become the backbone for what becomes known as Italian American cuisine are Southern Italian. So when we put garlic in things, it's not wrong. Now in this case, I'm just throwing some garlic in with this already pre-diced chicken to make my life a little bit easier. I'm going to throw some more in, but again, this is not a heavily spiced or seasoned dish because we're going to, cheat code, use the sausage for the seasoning. And that means that the first thing I have to do, oh, hey, y'all. Any bones? set aside for stock to add or just to fortify. Yeah, exactly. Any bones you, but there aren't actually in these. If you're cooking it, if you're actually making this dish with not diced pre-diced chicken, I would not use. I mean, I use deboned cooking in something like this. I'm already always going to debone in advance, right? Like this is a stew, really, or a soup, kind of. When I put this on the table and serve this to people, I don't want them to have to be picking bones out of anything, right? Like that's that's a, the worst thing in the world is when you have bones in like a chicken soup or a chicken stew. Like coq au vin is one thing because it's big pieces of chicken and you can see it and then you're like, oh, I know that there are lots of bones in this. But if I'm putting like this out with a stew and it's just like here's your stew, here's your crusty bread, go to town. I don't want people fighting with bones. That's just me, right? Like, and then if I was cooking this like that, I would put the bones to a side and use them to make stock. I do that all the time when I'm making a roast chicken. Like, I'll take everything, like, I'll roast the chicken and everything I use to roast the chicken, like the leftovers, onions, and carrots, and all that goes into making the stock that night. But if I've already got something like this where it's all going to go on the table and be enjoyed by people, I do not want them to have to fight with bones. But you will be astonished to discover, y'all, we've come up in the world because now the camera can go all the way. Yes, it can indeed go all the way. There we go. Right, that looks good. I'll make it even easier. I'll bring the pan closer. There we go. Aha! Little off. We have a new. I got myself an HDMI extension cord. Things that are great. So next up, remember how I said the seasoning? Look, you will have to pry this thing out of my mother's dead hands. And I will not get into the gas stove fight per se. But if you have a problem with outgassing stove with a stove outgassing, then it needs better ventilation. Just gonna say that. I'm like, this thing ain't going nowhere. Also, look, we're not gonna get that political. I have opinions about it. I'm gonna. So, if you follow me on Trooper's channel and you follow me in Trooper's Discord, you know that I made a comment about Volpez will even remember this. There is a difference, y'all. There is a difference between this, which is extra virgin olive oil, and this, which is just regular olive oil, particularly sauteing and grilling. This you do not use on high heat. This you can. This has such a low flash point that if you tried to use it on high heat, you'd catch your damn kitchen on fire. That's why this exists. This you use when you want to taste olive oil in your salads, drizzled on top of bread. Personally, I'm a big fan of when you use it on like a little bit of a sandwich and you want to make yourself a tomato sandwich and just a little olive oil, salt, pepper, and garlic. Boom. This is what's going to go in that pot in a minute as a little, starter for our sausage. It is not Not, don't use this. You'll catch your kitchen on fire. Use this, be safe. It's important. It's important. All right. So I'll go ahead and switch cameras. Make life easy. Okay. So I do not measure. Are we surprised? No, we are not. So we're gonna just swirl the olive oil in the bottom of the pan. Yeah, a little bit. Enough. Looks like 2 tablespoons. And then take the second, particularly with an enamel cast iron pan such as this, and swirl the olive oil around. Don't worry, it's not hot. There's no heat underneath it yet. Cold oil, cold pan. Medium heat, because you just want it to get hot. We're going to be using this to impart flavor and to favor, put all of these things together. Okay. I saved it, but I did not fry the saute the camera, but I am going to wipe the olive oil off of it. So that's how my day's going, y'all. How's yours? How's yours? I'm gonna put that, back that up a little bit. Put that over here. Stabilize it a bit. Nope, that's not gonna work either. Y'all, I thought we was gonna get this done. All right, can we see into the pan from there? Not really. That's okay. I've got another way to do this. Pause for station identification and technical difficulties. There we go. And a bellow bark. There we are. There we go. There we are. Okay. Okay. I succeeded in fixing things. I mean, mostly vertical is acceptable. Mostly vertical is indeed acceptable. Mostly vertical is always acceptable. I have also used upright in here as an option if you want to mix it up a little bit. All right, let's try that again. Let's try that again. Okay. All right. So we're going to start. We have hot oil going in. We're going to just start dropping the sausage. And we're going to let this brown up. And the more juice, let me know if the fan gets too loud, I'll start talking louder. The more oil and everything that the sausage releases, the more flavor that this is going to become, right? This is where the majority of the flavor is going to be imparted. You just want to let them brown off like natural. We now switch to the stew can. I am just using a straight uh, spicy Italian sauce, hot Italian sausage. You could use pretty much anything. Jacques Pepin, the recipe, uses what's the word I'm looking for? Chorizo. You could use the spicy lamb sausage that I'm blanking the name on. It starts with a you could use. Okay. Sorry, the dog is being weird, and I wanted to check on her. She's okay. She's just, you know, Megus. Thank you very much, Lopez. That's what it is. Yeah, it's something like that. Um, and you could use that. Um, I just like a straight. It's one of those. This is cleaning out. This is a weeknight meal on a Saturday, wherein I am using what I have in the kitchen or what I have in the freezer. Hi, am I allowed to tell you that as a stereotype, we have lots of Italian sausage, both sweet and hot, in the freezer at all times? But again, any kind of sausage you want. Um, we actually, spoiler, hashtag not sponsored, but we use Premio because my sister has celiac. So when we want to have sausage, we want to guarantee that it's either Premio or the local butcher. We want to guarantee that there's no flour or additives in the sausage because she has celiac. And I'm sorry that we have not yet invented smell-o-vision because right now my kitchen smells divine. And as you can see, if we look in the pan, that you could look in there, how much that oil is turning like that bright red color. It's even brighter in person. Um, and that's all the spices that are in the sausage that are going to go into flavoring this stew. So lots of flavor, lots of bits. I am sorry that you're almost out of boudin. That does seem. You're going into the holiday season with almost no boudin. That seems. That seems sad. I'm sorry. Hopefully, Lopez, you will get more boudin. I'm going to turn down the heat just a little. It's getting a little jumpy in the oil, but this way it'll have. Now, I like when I'm making a recipe like this, I'm going to just rinse the pan. I'm not going to wash this dish because I'm not really worried about transfer of raw to, because I'm going to put this meat back, right, even though I'm going to take it out for a hot second here. I'm going to put this meat right back in. because I'm going to continue cooking it in the stew, the flaky stew. This is just a quick brown, and an important step. Make sure you get all that good flavor on the bottom. Don't worry if there's black bits on the bottom. That's all fond. That's all going to go in here in a minute. Those look pretty good. Some of them a little bit more. I also like the texture difference of particularly something like this kind of stew kind of thing or soup where you're going to be cooking it in liquid for a long period of time. To have a little bit more brown crust on it to give it a little more texture complicated. Yeah, kielbasa and boudin are not the same thing. Kielbasa, boudin. Technically both spicy sausage, but nah, not the same. Yo, Lopez, you'll appreciate this. So, someone told me, I was like, I went into the grocery store, I was making jambalaya, right? I'm making jambalaya. And I said, hey, do you have any andouille? They're like, this is obviously some new guy, not the actual butcher, because the butcher got cleaned up, but this is just some, clerk, whatever, young guy at the store. And he goes, what is that? I'm like, it's sausage. It's a type of sausage. Well, we got these, and he shows me Jimmy Dean's breakfast sausage. I'm like, y'all, that's not, that is not what I asked for. All right, I'm just gonna take these out, and you see this beautiful, beautiful oil. It's all nice and red. Lots of flavor, lots of heat, all coming from these sausage links. But you're, two more back here. Gotta make sure you get them all. All right. Now, I'm just gonna make my life easy. Drain off a little bit of this liquid that the chicken gave off. Not a lot. So I don't really care. It's all gonna get cooked into the stew anyways. But now I'm just gonna take this chicken straight into this hot, spicy sausage oil. Life is good. Yeah, not even the turkey under. No. Not even that. Straight up breakfast sausage. I was like, As you can see, there's lots of flavor coming up. All that oil's taken. That chicken's gonna take all that nice spicy oil. I am going to take 5 seconds and throw some salt and pepper in. Again, are we surprised that I'm not going to measure? No. A little salt around the top a couple times, a little pepper around the top a couple times. The thing about salt and pepper, when we say season liberally or season with salt and pepper, is you take your time and you're going to add it throughout the cooking process. Don't add it all at once, otherwise it's not going to work. What is going on? That's like the gnocchi my sister tried to serve our dad in an experimental soup. Figured a tiny good. Look, I'm all for gnocchi in pretty much anything, but gnocchi and broth. I'm not a big fan of gnocchi and broth because I don't think it would cook right. That's the big problem. All right, so we got the chicken browning up a little bit. And again, I'm not really worrying about, it's gonna pick up all that beautiful, beautiful flavors. Get all that fond up off the bottom here. And I'm not worrying about overly browning it because it's going to cook in this soup in a hot second. So we got the chicken down. Next go the potatoes. And again, we're doing all of this so we get lots of flavor. And potatoes are really, really good for pulling up fond. You want a vegetable that will pull the fond off the bottom of that pot for you? Potatoes. I mean, that's fair, Kolchak. I am always cooking up something. I might even tell you about my latest project in the near future. I mean, I don't like sauerbraten to begin with, but I figure it's basic gnocchi are basically dumplings, and so you could replace anything that had dumplings in it. I wouldn't use I wouldn't use the gnocchi as a replacement for potatoes, but I would use it for like you could make a chicken and gnocchi soup, I guess, instead of chicken and dumplings. It wouldn't. I don't. I guess. All right, I'm gonna pull up, toss this a little bit more. All right, next in celery. Oop. Give that a quick toss. Get all those flavors going again. Again, pulling up fond. Potatoes are great. They're great little erasers that'll pull up all the fond from the bottom of the pan. Remember, fond is flavor. I mean, that's what they are. Gnocchi are little pillows of heaven, but it's a dumpling, right? It's a dumpling. It's how you cook it that makes it a dumpling. Um, okay, time for the sausage to go back in. Like I said, not really worrying about on this one. So let's switch over to the other camera. Now it is. As we look at it, it looks so pretty, right? Cool, 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 cool. I need to remember not to pull on the cable, which is my problem. Okay. There we go. All right. Now we're just going to stir this a little bit. So we got chicken, we got potatoes, we got celery, we got garlic in here. We got all the heat coming from that sausage that we browned off. The celery is going to add a little mild sweetness for us. Next up, now, I'm going to use some jarred. We have very few things. The fondue of flavor, yes, that's fond. I'll get back to that question in just a second, Lopez. I wanted to say this. Now, in our house, we keep one brand of jarred sauce. But that is because it is literally, as I read the ingredients, tomatoes, onion, extra virgin olive oil, garlic, sea salt, basil, black pepper. That's it. And if you have, sometimes I either have jars of sauce I've made when I've done it for weeks ahead of time, or I have this for when I need it desperately. And in this case, again, I'm cleaning out my kitchen. Exactly. One step from making it myself. There's no corn syrup in here. There's no sugar in here. There's not a lot of crazy ingredients that I'm like, what the heck is this? This is basically ground tomatoes with basil, which is basically a passata. And if I have passata, I have sauce. So this is just a little bit of that jarred sauce, you know, like maybe a cup. Yeah, maybe a cup. This is for flavor and mostly. Um, but lots of other flavors are going to come into this. Next up, remember how I said this is a Boulliabase? White wine. Now, the rule with white wine, with any cooking wine, is it has to be a wine that you're willing to drink. Otherwise, don't cook with it. It's like, if it's cheap ass wine that doesn't taste good, it's just going to add bad flavor to whatever you're cooking. I don't mind. The Boda minis are great for cooking. I mean, they're like $2 a box. It's like a cup and a half of white wine. I might add some more. I might not. We'll see in a minute when I add the broth. Like, twice around the thing. Exactly. Quality ingredients make quality flavors. And if you have good ingredients, that will impart good flavor. So the question Koldrake asked is, have you always been a foodie and did you start as a child or as a starving college student? Have you not been here when it was me and my mama cooking? Koldrake? Because there's my mama taught me how to, my mother, God, love her. She is a fabulous, fabulous cook. And I grew up in the military, right? Like, both my parents worked. I grew up in the military, but my mother's family is Sicilian. And there's lots of things that you can make and cook and do well and learn slowly. Oh, Coldrake. No, there is. I have done a bunch of them. If you actually look on the YouTube. Hi. Hi, everyone. If you don't know that there is, in fact, a YouTube, which hopefully, there you go, where all the VODs go to for you to catch up. But yes, I've been doing a couple of these cooking streams. So this is just veggie broth. And again, this is a bouillabaisse, so you need to bring the liquid up to cover all of the ingredients. And then a little bit higher, because that's how this works, because you're going to you're going to cook some off. Now, you could use chicken broth here. I like to use veggie broth when I'm making something like this because it has a little bit more flavors and everything. Yes, and Coldrake, I do use low sodium broths. Well, my mother is a wonderful Sicilian woman who will cook for the world and save the world and is blessed with everything. My father is Irish. The only thing the Irish know is seasoning is salt. And with it comes a long family history of exactly, Volpes, add your own sodium. Let's reduce the amount of sodium that you're going to have. Plus, we've already added sodium when we started sauteing the chicken, right? Like, we added salt and pepper. You're going to add your own flavor. I want to control the amount of sodium that gets to the table because I know that some people might add more. Not everybody, but some. But this way I'm like, okay, I'm still getting the flavor that I want, and I still want to get, what, there's more to seasoning than no salt and Mick pepper? Yes. Yes, there is. Now, the easy part. Ta-da! This is going to go for about half an hour. It can go a little bit longer. It can go a little bit shorter. I'm going to keep the salt and pepper out because, of course, it's going to make my life easier as we go. I'll season a little bit more at the end. But we got like 5 minutes, um, which is perfect because we got like 5 minutes before I take out the potatoes, and then we can do the twice baked potatoes. So we're going to take a short break. See, here's the thing, Coldrake. You could do this in a slow cooker. I just find that the problem of slow cookers for something like this, you you really should brown, because what we did is we cut up the sausage and we browned that off to let all of the oils out, so that seasoned the chicken, and then browned the chicken in the oil of the sausage. The problem with 99% of slow cookers slash crock pots is not the potatoes getting gummy. The problem really is that the heat isn't high enough to brown the meat. So you'd have to brown the meat separately in a separate pan, then dump everything in a crock pot. And I'm like, at that point, I have a Dutch oven. Right? Like, this is Dutch oven. So I use a crock pot for things like that I know will go longer and that I don't care as much about watching. Because this is only going to go for half an hour. Like, if I'm making chili, I'll put ossobuco in a Dutch oven, right? Like an ossobuco is going to go like 4 hours. I'll do like if I'm going if or other things that I'm not going to brown, right? Like if I'm going to do a pot roast where I'm not browning it, which is again one of the things I never do, but you could, or like you're going to do shredded chickens or other things like that, or it's just straight vegetables or anything. Like if I'm not going to brown something, I don't want to make dirty the extra pan. Yeah, exactly. Like if you have, when you don't have to dirty an extra dish, I vote for that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a short break and set up because in about 3 minutes I'm going to take the potatoes out of the oven and then we can do some twice baked potatoes while the stew continues in the background. But this is a great time to stretch, refresh, get all of the good things that you need. Um, Also, Bella's judging me from over here now, so there's that. But also, yeah, drop some questions in the chat. I'll be back in like 3 minutes. I'm gonna run the ad break right now, make life easier for everybody coming in, and I'll see you in a few, everybody. everyone, welcome back. I hope you are all having a great time and that life is good for you. We're back, and just in time, as Bella makes her presence known again, to take the potatoes that we are doing for twice baked potatoes out of the oven. You will recall, or if you didn't, weren't here, I will now tell you that we put these russet baking potatoes directly into a 450-degree oven for 50 minutes. And then they come out and they're hot. Y'all, if you did not know that a 450-degree oven is hot, I'm sorry for you. But a 450-degree oven is very hot. So now, yes, Bella. Now we are on a time clock, okay? The thing about twice baked potatoes is that they are not hard. They are, however, very time sensitive. You need to have your potatoes that you've, baked the first time for 50 minutes in a 450-degree oven. Then you need, you take them out and you let them sit. You do not let them cool, you let them sit briefly so that you can add butter. And then I like to do it this way. Cream cheese, not cream cheese. That's the point. Some people say to add cream cheese. I do not. I am using a whipped goat's milk. And the thing is, this is all going to melt so beautifully into these potatoes. But now we got to make sure that we get all of that beautiful cheese into here. So it's a stick of butter, a package of, what is this, like 4 ounces? 4.5 ounces, I'm good. Of, Coldrake, I shop at Misfits, hashtag not sponsored, but if Misfits wants to sponsor me, I'll take their money. Misfits is great. Particularly if you want to help reduce food waste and you're not sure how to do so. Yes, we hear you, Bella. You are announcing your presence to the world. All right. Goat cheese, butter, a little salt, not a lot of pepper. We'll add more in a minute. A dash of salt, not a lot, because we're gonna put cheese in this. But Misfits is great if you want to reduce food waste and you're not sure how to start, or you don't know a lot of other things. Okay, now the real reason why I have very long nails, so I can use the nails to hold the potato in place while I cut it in half and not burn myself. Although you can see the literal steam coming off of the potato. Now, rubber trivet doubles as a great handhold. This is the best device. It's like a type of sugar spoon that I have found for getting roasted potato out of potato skin. And it just goes right around. And it's that nice balance between a spoon and a spatula, which is what you need. And then we're just going to scrape the inside of that potato carefully and not taking all of it out and not ripping the skin, very gently right on top of that cheese and butter, and using the heat from the cheese and the butter to melt. Then put the skin in a baking dish. It can just live over there for a little bit. But Misfits is great because what they do is they work with local producers both small scale and large scale producers, and they buy ugly produce from a lot of local farmers or things that would otherwise be unsellable because your grocery store only wants to buy, well, not just the grocery store. The people in the grocery store only want to buy pretty food, right? Like an apple that's perfectly round or a carrot that doesn't have knobs on the, it's what Misfits does is they buy those and they sell them to you at a reduced price. And it's a hashtag, again, not sponsored. They do a really great deal where you'll have a 3-day window to order whatever they happen to have that week for you, or options. And then there's a minimum amount that you spend, and it gets delivered to your door directly on a particular day of the week. And they do fruit, they do all of this stuff. And actually, then other stuff that they don't think that they can sell or whatever, they have an upcycle line where they take some of that stuff that's maybe just a little bit off. And like the marinara that I put into this soup, that's one of their brands. They just take the odds and ends, stuff that won't sell and make something out of it. Or the chicken broth is the same. And it's all healthy and it's organic and you're not paying organic money prices. And if you don't want to have it, and there's like a flat delivery fee of $5, and if you don't want to have an order that week, you just skip your delivery. You just skip your order week. Again, not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. But they're really and as you can see, I'm kind of rushing here as I go, still being careful not to rip the potato skin because that's the most important part. But there is a time limit on this potato and what I got to do to it. But yeah, I personally find it's a really great service. And sometimes they'll have national brands that are on closeout, or they're changing packaging, but a lot of it's either hyper local, like this. We have this really great sandwich bread that we get. That's from like 5 miles or 20 miles from my house. It's like great. I'm not Russian, I'm just rushing. And you can hear Bella in the background because she wants you to know that she exists and is there. Again. Really hot. When they say hot potato, this is what they mean. Very easy. Bella keeps asking, where's mine? Yeah, she just she can't have this. It's way too hot for her. It's like, you can't have these potatoes yet, Bella. And you're probably not going to get them ever, but... Okay. Now, the last little bits off of the very useful silicone trivet that can go in the dishwasher. Make my life even easier. All right. Switch out for the potatoes. All right. Now, this is a time where the tool is actually important. To make twice baked potatoes and get the texture correct, you need a fork. Straight up, long tail fork. And you're going to mash, but you're really pushing against the side of the bowl and letting it break up. There is not a lot of, this is not like mashed potatoes, right? Like there's no egg, I didn't boil these first, I roasted them, and it's going to change the texture at the end. And as for asking about the type of potato, they are good old fashioned russets, And you want to make sure as you do this that you break up any large pieces and mix up that cheese and butter that's at the bottom. Somebody was like, oh, you could just make mashed potatoes. Yeah, you don't want a tater masher. The reason is, if you actually look at what I'm doing, I'm pushing and then sliding. Theoretically, I guess you could, it's closer to a ricer in texture. You don't want to, but it's very, very soft. Roasted potatoes, game changer. And again, it's not mashed potatoes because those are boiled and then you add your dairy. But this is just raking through. Now, if you had a ricer, you could use that. Exactly. A baking potato for twice baked. And when I say arm, that's because I also got my arm workout in today. And by that, I mean I made bread. And yes, if I'm in the mood to make bread like that, 90% of the time, I have a stand mixer, and I can use a stand mixer to knead, but sometimes I just want to take my frustration out, and I need an arm day. So, look, a ricer, yes, they are different gluten levels. And don't worry, this is celiac, this is wheat gluten free for all of you like my sister who are celiac. But gluten is a protein. Aha, I remembered. And a lot of things produce. Now, this would also be a really great beginning for some gnocchi here. But you'll see how fluffy this is versus mashed potatoes. Oh, the Great British Bake Off. Always dangerous. And then sometimes I'm like, why okay, look. Side note, entirely tangential. Yes, Bella, we hear you. Okay. You can have a treat. I understand that's what you want. There you go. But, Great British Bake Off. Does England just not blind bake a pie? Like, is that not a thing in England? People on the other side of the pond, let me ask, is blind baking not a thing that exists in your world? Because, like, it's a pie. You don't want a soggy crust. Blind bake the pie. Like, y'all don't even need to buy pie weights. You can get beans, for God's sakes. Did everybody in that country who knew how blind bake a pie leave it? Because that's like one of the biggest things every time they do a pie in Great British Bake Off. And I sit there and I yell at the screen because I'm like, really? Really? Look, the biscuits versus cookies thing, that's just dialectic. All right, a little more salt and a little more pepper. And again, I usually leave these slightly, not bland, but not spiced, right? And the reason is, as I'm making these, they're going to be a vehicle upon which I will serve many other things. Like I will probably make chili at some point this week because it's going to be chilly weather this week. Twice baked potatoes, baked potato under your chili, good. Twice baked potato under your chili, 10 times better. Yeah, well, Paul, Hollywood's weird. Also, don't forget to taste. Yeah, they're also weird that they don't consider a pie to have nothing. You can have if it has a pie shell on the bottom, it's a pie. You can have a top shell. You can have a lattice. You can have, but what do I know? All right, next we put all of our, we go back to the step of stuffing the potatoes. Now, the best thing about a twice baked potato, in my mind, is that this is a do it ahead, once a weekend. You have them all week, and then you can just take them out and do the second bake and just serve them, and life is great. I have tried Cincinnati style chili. I don't hate it. I and my mother are of the same opinion that it is a ragu meat sauce that's relabeled as chili to get the Italian, to get the non-Italians to eat it. I don't hate it. I also don't put I don't put beans in my chili anyways, so. But I also don't eat I don't eat out a lot of chili because I can't eat beef anymore. I have it's part of my allergies. I just can't eat it. So because of that, when I make chili, it's always lamb. And if I'm eating, no one's making lamb chili. Well, very few people are making lamb chili for sale. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of cinnamon in my chili. Cumin makes sense. What is your problem? You just wanted the world to know that you're there? All of the internet knows that you are here. It's like all of China knowing that the Huns have arrived. Yeah, what? It is indeed special. Oh, they're Greeks. There you go. Very much Greek. That makes a lot of sense. It's a diner. I should have guessed that they were Greek. Skyline Diner makes Greek chili. It's a Greek meat sauce. That makes so much sense. Greeks do weird things, but they're food. Yeah, it's not spicy. It's just flavorful, and like you can have not spicy chili, but again. So now at this step, if you were to put it back in the oven, in a 350 degree oven for 350 degree oven for 20 minutes, just basically to reheat and brown through, you put a layer of cheese on top, cheese of your choice. Whether that cheese is shredded cheddar or taco mix or whatever kind of cheese that you got, go right ahead. I like crumbled feta, and that's usually what I put on mine. But the thing is that these are just going to hang out for, so let's switch over to the other can. So they look all pretty. And these are just going to be, go in the fridge, have them for the week. There's nothing wrong with stuffing an olive. Cold Drake. There is absolutely nothing wrong with stuffing an olive. I make stuff olive if I feel like it. The biggest problem with stuffed olives is that they are time consuming. And you need big, like Sicilian Greek olives, not. No, I do not put chives on this. Because again, they're gonna be a vehicle for probably chili, right? Like I'm not gonna put any chives in here. I'm not gonna put any. You could, if you were just having these, like if you had like a roast dinner and you wanted to have these with like chicken or beef or whatever you're having for dinner, pork, pork chops or whatever, and you want to put like a little chive on top of your cheese at the end. I mean, I'm not gonna judge you. A dark chocolate, by the way, in either your chili or your tomato sauce is just going to cut the acidity of the tomatoes. That's its function. Yeah, I mean, chocolate in anything tomato based is there to cut the acidity of. Are you okay? Are you okay? Okay. You okay? Okay. So now I'm just gonna set these aside because they're just gonna sit there. It'll be fine. Again, I understand the pinch of sugar thing. I understand the cut the acidity thing. Coldrake, if you want to try chocolate in your tomato sauce, the best recipe for that is actually the Ghirardelli's cookbook. Has a North End meat ragu meat sauce that uses chocolate. It is my mother's only recipe for meat sauce that she uses anymore. Again, they're Ghirardelli's. Really? Is that your problem? It's too far away? There you go. I had given her a treat and it was too far away and she didn't want to get up. I understand. All right, so I'm just going to set these over here out of the way so that they cool a little bit more before I put them in the fridge. You do not ever want to put hot things into a fridge right away unless it's part of your recipe and you're doing it intentionally, but 9 times out of 10 you do not. It's going to change it horribly. Also, possibly, don't do it if you are doing it for flavor or texture reasons. Don't do it in the vessel that you heated up unless you want that to explode. All right, let us check on our stew. Stew cam. And let us switch to the stew cam. Okay, looks like we need to turn the heat up a little bit. That's okay. We're going to see how it's all starting to boil a little bit underneath. It's looking really good though. We're gonna stir this. And let that sit. It's looking so pretty. Looking really pretty, actually. We're gonna let this sit. Basically, you're letting this sit until the potatoes are fork tender and cooked. That's it. You're just letting it sit until the potatoes are cooked. Look, I've seen that Instagram sound going around. You can't tell me that that soup isn't a witch magic. I mean, it could be. See, again, all right, you want to be the center of attention? Be the center of attention. Hello, Internet, this is Bella. She's an old lady. You want to go out? All right, we'll let you out. Excuse me, everyone, I need to let the dog go out. All right, Bella, come on. All right, we have let the dog out. How is the world going? Look and snap is, it sometimes works. Um, yeah, I have a neighbor whose dog keeps doing the same thing, Faye, walking on the pool cover, and I'm like, that dog is gonna cause me to have anxiety. Was it a D&D character that we cared about, or are we hopeful that the character sheet would cause the character to? Because I knew a friend who did that. I had a friend who was like, "Oh no, my dog ate my character sheet. Guess I'll have to roll a new one." No, we like this character. I mean, that's fair. That is indeed fair. All right, so we got about like 10 minutes before soup is ready. Ooh, I'm actually measuring time correctly. He's a level 0 character, so not even in D&D Beyond yet. I mean, that's fair. That is fair. I guess I should show off my bread from earlier today, with which I will be having this stew. Um, because there's not a lot you guys would see in the making of bread. It's bread. You spend a lot of time making, letting it sit, kneading, letting it sit. But yeah, it's a really good bread, actually. Can you hear this? That's what good bread should sound like. Wow, that was a weird freeze. Camera frozen for anybody else? No, I didn't use a starter for this one. I used dry yeast, which is fine. You know, it's a fun times. But yeah, it's a nice, good, crusty bread. It smells really good. It'll be really, really good when I toast. Actually, I'll slice some up because I'm gonna toast it to put with the stew. Now, or bouillabaisse. This is technically a bouillabaisse, and again, for those of you who joined late, this is actually Jacques Pepin's recipe for um, a chicken and sausage bouillabaisse instead of a seafood bouillabaisse. Um, but I can't have seafood, so I can have this instead. But one of the things about bouillabaisse is traditionally it is served with a fresh made mayo with spicy mayonnaise served on fresh bread. And I don't like mayonnaise. So I'm just going to have fresh bread that I can dunk in the soup and get all those great flavors. Now, the best part of any bread is always the dough. Oh, actually, that turned out really well. Look at that. That's a really good crumb. Look at that crumb. Now, I could start this. I'm just going to slide this out of the way so it doesn't get in the way. But while we're waiting for bread, I'm going to have a little, while we're waiting for stew, we're going to have a little snack. And that is one of my favorite things to snack on is fresh bread. Spice cabinet. And remember how I said that there was a tutorial about what you do not put extra virgin olive oil in, i.e. anything stored, stuff like that? You can, however, use extra virgin olive oil for this. This is the extra virgin. Little extra virgin olive oil. Za'atar. There you go. Za'atar, which is a Middle Eastern, North African blend of sumac, thyme, white sesame seeds, and salt. You add it to a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, right like that. See how pretty this looks, right like that. And then you dunk the bread and go to town. Ooh, peel that. Can you hear that crack? Yep, I made good bread. Look at that za'atar. So, no, nothing. What seasoning might help or hurt flavors for what? Cold drink. For za'atar or for bread? Because so the first rule about seasoning is seasoning starts with your nose. If it does not smell right together, it's not going to taste right together. So there are some good flavor combinations that will be really good. And then there are ones you're like, ooh, this will be great. And you're like, nah, that smells vile. I was going to taste vile. One of the things I really like to do is always double check with scent before you check with taste. There are some good, old-fashioned standbys that are going to combine well. But again, hashtag not sponsored, but walk into Penzeys if you have one, right? Walk into a Penzeys Spices. They do a really, really good job of bringing all of these spices and herbs and flavor profiles and things from around the world together. And we'll helpfully teach you about different spices and flavor combinations. And 9 times out of 10, they have a seasoning premix for something like za'atar or for chili or for roasting meats of whatever flavor. And they tell you exactly what ingredients are in that combinations. Thank you for dropping that link, Lopez. And almost everything they have these little 8/10 of an ounce, right? So not even a full ounce jar that you can taste. Take it home, try it, see what you like. They're really good about teaching people about flavor combinations. And I'm not gonna lie, Do I like curry? Yes. Do I like making curry from scratch? Yes. Do I have every single spice I need for curry at any given time? No. I just don't make it enough to keep them fresh. I don't. Do I buy Penzeys curry powder and go from there? You bet your ass I do. Hmm? Again, hashtag not sponsored, but I will totally, if you want to sponsor me, Penzeys, let's talk. And they also are really good about putting recipes on the back. They have gift boxes for stuff like chilies or barbecue mixes or whatever. But like, get the ancho chili powder, and it'll give you a recipe for making taco seasoning or chilies, what the percentage would be. Go enjoy. Sorry, I'm just finishing the last of the star that I pulled out on the last piece of the bread I had cut. I'm actually really good at proportioning. Okay. But like one of my favorite things to do for like turkey, right? You're like, oh my god, what kind of seasoning do I use on this? Or, you want to try something new or different. Go to a spice store, try them, taste them, see what smells good together. Talk to the people that work there that are usually really good about helping you find different flavor combinations and different things. Look, I have a really great taco seasoning mix that I use with chili and chipotle and a lot of other things that starts with anchos and chipotle. All right, I'm hearing some bubbling, so I should stir the bouillabaisse. Okay. Gonna turn it down a little bit. It's getting a little high, but that's good. All right. Any questions at the moment while we wait for our bouillabaisse to finish? I should put the sitar away. Oh, and other things like other tricks to remember is if you're doing something like a chili, before you brown the meat, put the oil in the Dutch oven, saute the spices in the oil, it'll get even better. Or you want to do something like Chinese. Chinese stir fry, you need 3 spices. You need Chinese 5 spice, you need ginger, and you need pepper. And that's it. Chinese 5 spice takes care of everything for you. That's what it's for. Um, a little soy sauce, a little rice wine vinegar, you're golden. Exactly. Bloom the spices in the oil. It's the same reason you bloom your aromatics in the oil before you start cooking anything else. It's the same reason why we cook the sausage and then use that brown sausage grease oil to brown the chicken to make the base for our bouillabaisse. All of this is going to add flavor and help it expand and add those flavors to the other ingredients that you're cooking with. Because at the end of the day, flavors are layered. And my biggest complaint about 90% of Tex-Mex that you get in like whatever is that there's heat but no flavor because they just dump a bunch of chilies in at a certain point and none of the other ingredients, even if they're there, can be balanced with the other flavors. And you're like, okay, so it's spicy. That doesn't mean it's flavorful. Really good Caribbean food can be very hot, but there's lots of other flavors that kind of you can taste in it. Really good Indian or Thai food, same kind of thing. There's heat, but there's other flavors that go with it. And it's in when people forget and think that the only flavor that you need, the only seasoning people need is pepper, hot peppers, spicy peppers, and you're like, no, no, there's depths of flavor, right? Like when you taste this, you're not going to taste all of the garlic that's in here. You're just not going to, because the garlic is going to be an underlying note that's going to help build the other flavors that exist in the sausage and in the chicken and the potatoes and the tomato and everything. But those flavors combine to create new dishes and flavorful dishes. Can you tell I've had to explain this to people before? All right. I think what we're going to do is we're going to let it take the lid off for a little bit, a couple minutes. Not like the other reason to and now you know it is done if it comes out fork tender. Potato, fork tender. Fork tender potato? Could use another couple minutes, but that's okay. Almost there. Just enough time for me to cut some bread and stick it in the toast oven to warm. Because I like my bread hot. Also, you want to slice your bread? Once you've cut the end off, always turn it on its side. Angle your knife downward. Even cut. And this is another trick I learned from Jacques Pepin, whose recipe this is, because Jacques Pepin wrote the book La Technique. Le Technique. Les Techniques. Les Techniques is all about how you do things in cooking. All right, so I've got my bread. It's great watching people who only know hot pepper foods try Szechuan peppercorn stuff and experience the numbing for the first time. Exactly. Like, Szechuan pepper isn't hot, right? Like it numbs your mouth, but it's not hot. And there's other flavors that go into behind it. And you're just like, just because it says pepper doesn't mean it's the same kind of pepper. Okay. And I think one more slice will do, because I realized how unevenly I was slicing, and now I've got, you know, big wedge pieces of bread, which is fine. I'm gonna stick them in the oven, which, this oven was at 450 degrees for close to an hour. It's still hot. It's plenty hot enough for me to throw a couple pieces of bread on a rack and let it warm up. Yeah, I'm sad I'm going to miss PAX Unplugged this year, but I have things I have to do. Now, fresh bread, do not wrap in saran wrap. Do not wrap your bread in saran wrap. That is what aluminum foil is for. Wrap your bread in aluminum foil. And then slice it and stick it in prepper in the freezer if you want, or it can just sit out for today because I'm going to use it again tomorrow. All right. I'm going to take another short break while I go get the dog. And then when I come back, we will be probably ready for me to plate and taunt you all with beautiful food. So stretch, bio, I'll be right back. And I'll see you in a few, everybody. Welcome back, everyone. I feel like I deserve a drink. So I have right here one of my favorite wines to drink with this, a Maison Village. Um, French wines are based on location, not necessarily the type of grape. And Maison Village is technically a Chardonnay grape, but it is a little bit different. It is also 100% unoaked, so it doesn't taste like, I'm not a big fan of oaked Chardonnays from the United States. Not a big fan. Oh, I'm sorry about that. For you, Hawkeye. But yes. Again. No. Nothing important yet. So, wine glass. Ooh, wait, hold on. Hold, please. So, sorry, y'all. I had to take a minute and get the new wonderfulness that I got from Punkelnick's. MC etching Punkelnick's. See if we can make sure you can see that beautiful. If I hold it right here, can you see it? Let's switch cameras. These beautiful, beautiful work that he did for me. There we go. You can see it now, right? These are absolutely gorgeous. If you don't know Nick's, underscore, right? Oh, that doesn't exist. Go check him out. Makes beautiful, beautiful glassware. And I ordered these from him. Just like, hey, you have on your website these wine glasses with this molecular design of all of the dice as a stemless wine glass. Is there any chance I can get a stemmed wine glass? And he's like, sure. How many would you like? I'm like, 6. Okay. Thank you very much. They are absolutely gorgeous, and I love them. So, salud first. Now, wine. Rule about wine. When they say that wine should be room temperature, they mean room temperature of the basement of a wine cellar chateau in France, like 50 degrees. Not, not, not room temperature in an American household that's 72 degrees. You can chill your wine a little, people. Exactly. It is, I love these glasses. But we are here for stew or bouillabaisse. It is a bouillabaisse, so we'll call it a bouillabaisse. Ladle. Use the ladle to stir because it will, as well as to pick up all of your flavorful bits. Chicken and potato and celery and sausage. And the broth. Don't forget the broth because that's going to be so flavorful. Look at this right here. Right here. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this beautifulness. Boom, right like that. And then we didn't forget it. It's sitting right here. We got the bread. Nicely warmed, just enough. Give it a little bit of crust, but not to, damage the beautiful crumb. Boom, right like that. That's why bread plate is important. Bread, bouillabaisse, bread, bouillabaisse. Yep. Look, I don't have to sniff the wine because I know what it tastes like. It's one of my favorite wines. But if you wanted to taste it, yes, you should. Swirling it, all that does is really show you the legs on it. That just tells you if it has long legs or not. Mm. It's not going to do anything to the wine except maybe add some extra aeration if you're concerned about it. Now, I think table side, it needs just a dash more pepper. And that's okay. That's what you want. You want to have a flavor set up so that people can adjust to taste at the table. Now, mind you, if we were in an Asian household, this wouldn't happen because they don't put salt and pepper or any condiments on the table. You eat what you get. But here, I can throw a little pepper on at the end because I like it and I made it. But thanks for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate it. Have yourself a wonderful night. That's the end for tonight. But where are you going to find me next? Tomorrow I will be doing a stream for some probably Baldur's Gate. I haven't played Baldur's Gate all week. We're playing Baldur's Gate tomorrow because we're on break from Carousel Court for the next couple weeks. Then on Monday, you can find me over on Wandering DM. for Vampire Montreal by chapters Montreal by Night. Um, and then November 11th, Veterans Day, I will be running and hosting a 14-hour charity stream to benefit Fisher House, which is a Fisher House provides housing and care for veterans and their families while those veterans and or their families undergo medical treatment at various hospitals. They're a great organization. They do a lot of really great work. Uh, and so we will be back. We'll have that stream on Veterans Day. Um, there'll be 14 hours. There'll be 4 different GMs. I'm only GMing one round, but there'll be 4 different GMs. And so come hang out and help support a really, really great cause. But I think that's it for tonight. Oh yes, there is that is correct. Volpez hashtag not sponsored again, but there is a humble bundle right now for World of Darkness books. Go check it out. You'll find some really great ones. But yes, we'll be back. I'll see you all tomorrow. But we should send some love out into the universe. Thank you again for hanging out with me all. So I believe. Oh, PB is up. Let's go raid PB and send some love her way. She's playing some Destiny 2. Time for some murder. But send some food love her way, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.